If you feel like you're the only one in your household who does all the work, then I know exactly how that feels. So, this week on Joyful Eating for Menopause, you'll learn how to create a more equitable division of unpaid labor in your house. So, welcome to Joyful Eating for Menopause, episode 246. And this week we're talking about ending kitchen resentment. But before we get into that, the best bite I had. So, one of my favorite, I've been getting into using more spices recently. I read a book on gut health that was talking about how the polyphenols in spices are good for you, right? Good for your gut. And so, one of my favorite ways to have cauliflower is to chop it up and then toss it with some curry powder. I love Keen's curry powder from the supermarket. I slice up an onion as well, just a little bit of oil on, and yeah, roast it in a hot oven until it's just all starting to go charred around the edges, and then serving it. I had it recently with poached eggs, which I love, a rosemary mayonnaise. And actually, I put some rosemary, a heap of rosemary leaves in with the cauliflower for the last few minutes of roasting so they crisped up, because rosemary is meant to be really good for gut health as well. And then I also had fried some rosemary leaves in oil and let it cool down, and then used that rosemary oil to make a mayonnaise. So this rosemary mayo, it was their business. And I had some pistachios, roast pistachios with it too. So, so good. Let's stop smiling and talk about resentment. Yay. So in this episode, I'm going to share first my experience of feeling massive resentment. And then I'm going to talk about 3 mindset shifts that actually help diffuse the resentment and help me calm down a bit, Jules. And then also 3 strategies that make a massive difference. So basically, my experience with feeling kitchen resentment, actually, that's something that I'm really noticing as I'm progressing in this perimenopause stage of life, that things that used to not phase me or that I wouldn't feel resentful about are actually starting to really bother me. And I actually think that that's a good thing. I think maybe the rest of my life I've been a bit too laid back and I haven't taken action when things haven't been fair, which now, just I don't know, whatever's going on with my hormones, it's like, I can't just let this go, right? It's like, no, I need to do something about it. It's become more important for me to stick up for myself and make sure that I'm seen and heard and that it feels like life feels fair. So that's kind of been an interesting thing that I wasn't expecting in menopause. And as I'm going through this, the title of this is Ending Kitchen Resentment, but really it's a work in progress for me, right? It's not like I completely have gone from feeling resentful all the time to, oh, everything's amazing and super fair, and I'm hardly doing any of it. We're all sharing the workload equally. I'm definitely working. It's a work in progress. But so I do still get sometimes frustrated and annoyed, but it's happening less and less as I'm employing the mindset strategies that I'm about to share with you, and the habit strategies as well. So it's definitely improving in my household, and but again, there is more room for improvement. It's kind of did blow my mind how, for someone that has considers himself to be a pretty calm person, how riled up I can get about this. And I have gotten about this, particularly over the last couple of years. So basically, let's talk about some mindset things that I've found really helpful for navigating this whole resentment piece. And the first is that I'm worth it and we're worth it. So, what I mean by that is that it's worth it for me to go through the discomfort of having that difficult conversation and bringing someone else, getting the family involved in changing. It's worth me going through that hassle of doing that so that things do feel more equitable. So whereas I think before I was just like, oh, it'll be fine and it's better, just quicker and easier if I do everything myself. So this I'm worth it thought and we are worth it is really helping me take action, right? The next one is that I've found so helpful is because a lot of resentment that was coming in our house was someone would have a job to do and that would be the allocated job, but then it wasn't getting done. And then I'd be like, I have to remind you. And so the thought behind it was I shouldn't have to remind you to unpack the dishwasher. And it just that makes you feel really resentful and angry because it's not only is the dishwasher not unpacked, I'm having to remind you about it. Right. So it just builds that resentment. So the thought that I've found really helpful for diffusing that And just bringing it calmly is just, it's okay for me to remind them. I want this done. It's okay. And I guess it comes back to a little bit of it that I'm worth it. We're worth it. So it's no, calmly. So it's my Irishman's job to unpack the dishwasher, and if it hasn't been done, and I want to stack it or do whatever. Hey, baby, can you just unpack the dishwasher soon? No, you haven't done this yet. Why do I have to remind you? Like, no drama. Just, hey, can you unpack the dishwasher soon? I need the dishwasher unpacked soon. And that has been game changing, right? Because rather than me, or sometimes it would be, I've already asked you 10 times to do this and it's still not done. No, can you just get it? Can you just do it now? And I'll just ask as many times as I need. And so my thought process behind that is, yep, it's okay for me to remind him as many times as I need. We will get it done. Makes a huge difference. So it's okay to remind them. And then the third mindset that I think that's been really helpful for me is just being compassionate with myself when I'm feeling irate and feeling rage towards my loved ones, right? That because how I used to feel when that happened was I shouldn't be feeling this. I shouldn't be so angry at them. I shouldn't be so resentful, and I shouldn't be so, yeah, whatever, turning into they would call it a Karen. Yeah, I shouldn't be feeling this. And that, of course, when you tell yourself you shouldn't be feeling something, that makes you feel worse, because it's like you're feeling guilty and shame for being a bad person because you're not being relaxed about something. And so when I feel the resentment now, it's like, of course I'd just be really self-compassionate. Like, of course I'm feeling resentful. This is like a good sign, like actually appreciating, like actually this shows that that's something doesn't feel right here to me. This isn't fair. And it's good for me to feel this resentment, because it means that I'm going to do something about it. That means that I can ask for help about this. And that's a completely different experience too. When you're letting yourself feel resentful, letting yourself calm down a bit, and then taking action on whatever's caused the resentment, it's very empowering, as opposed to, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this, and getting frustrated with yourself. Those just three of the mindset shifts that have been helpful. So I'm worth it, or we're worth it. It's okay for me to remind them. And yeah, of course I'm feeling resentful, and it just means that I need to ask for help. Not a problem. And then from that kind of calmer mindset, the strategies there's actually a heap of things that we've been putting in place, but I just thought I'd share three of them with you in this episode. So first is actually defining clear expectations of who does what. And for the boys, we use and I really recommend this. There's an Australian guy who's written his books are called The Barefoot Investor, and he has one called The Barefoot Investor for Families. And just his system of pocket money and having jobs that kids are their responsibility. And then also, so they have jobs that they're getting paid for, but then they also have what he calls parent pleasers, so jobs that they do for free in the household to contribute to the household. So it's not like they're learning that they should be paid for every job that they do. So we're getting that balance. So that works really well, and because it forces us to define who does what. So it's Fergal's job to make sparkling water and get glasses on the table when it's dinner time. It's Finbar's job to do cutlery, vitamins, and he lights the candles when it's winter time. So yeah, it's my Irishman's job to unpack the dishwasher. And it's everyone's job to bring the plates and everything off the table into the kitchen when it's time to clean up. So having those defined strategies and having clear expectations is really helpful, because everyone knows then what their role is. And also then, if they're not doing it, it's okay for me to remind them. It's like Finbar, cutlery. It just makes it, yeah, super important. So, and then also by having clearly defined roles, then you can go, oh, actually, I'm doing all these things. These guys are doing this. What? And that just forces me to think, okay, what else can I allocate to other people? What can I delegate? And that's really, that helps as well. So that's one strategy. Second one is communicating calmly when I'm not feeling resentful, or when the resentment has been dialed down, like not when I'm like in seething mess of like, "Arr!" So that is huge. And the way that I actually learned this from my marriage coach, Maggie, shout out to Maggie Reyes. Maggie, she's like, whenever you're in any relationships, we can approach something that we want, we can approach it from demanding. It's like, I want this done, you should do this, and be very dictatorial, which of course, if you're on the receiving end of that, you're like, no, lady, I don't want to do what you want. Or you can approach it as a request. So it's like, hey, I have a request. I often will say, I have a request. Can you guys do this? And by approaching it from that request place, when I'm calm and not resentful, my success rate in getting uptake of getting my requests filled significantly increased, whereas if I'm barking orders at someone. So it just feels so much nicer to be approaching it from that perspective. And then the third strategy I wanted to share with you is just reminding them as needed. So that thought, it's okay for me to remind them as many times as it takes. I just remind them, oh yeah, then I do this, do whatever. And it's a matter of fact, it's no dramas. It's like it doesn't take very much effort for me to remind them. And it means that they're doing their jobs, they're contributing. And so it does feel a lot fairer. So that was a lot. So if you actually like to empower your kids and use child labor like I am to make your life easier and less resentful, then come and play with us in Joyful Cooking for Kids and Teens. So basically, in that class, I'm going to help you empower your children to learn to pull together healthy meals without recipes, which is such a great skill to have going out in the world. So check out in the link in the show notes if that sounds of interest to learn more. And when you sign up, you'll get instant access to some bonus lessons. So that will include, the first one is called my Kitchen Harmony Blueprint. So ending resentment and sharing the load. So if you feel like you're the only one doing all the work in your house, in that I'm going to share more strategies for how to create a more equitable division of unpaid labor. And then the second bonus that you'll get, and there are other bonuses as well, but the other one I thought I would mention is the Peaceful Plate solution. So that's transforming picky eaters without power struggles. So in that little bonus training, I share with you my strategy so that you stop feeling defeated when your kids or grandkids or adult family members aren't excited about the meals that you do make. Yeah, when they turn up their nose at stuff, it just helps manage that situation and for it to happen less often. Yeah, so we would love to have you in Joyful Cooking for Kids. This program will only be running once a year. So yeah, sign up now so you can get the benefits of the child labor sooner rather than later. Okay, have a beautiful week, being compassionate with yourself if you are feeling resentful, and I'll catch you next week.